Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahavashai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us the truth. And salutations to the sincere Akim and Aqua. Listen, may the blessing of election be over your house. My name is Brother Raquai. I'm back in here with another lesson. And for today's lesson is going to go into the origins of Easter, because that's what the world is partaking in. This long weekend, right? And what a lot of these origins go back to, and why, how also why this uh how does this relate to the predicament that we're in, us as Israelites, right? Because you still have a lot of our people who are partaking in these customs, right? But they don't understand what these things go back to, and all of these customs are really and truly just vain and following the ways of the heathen, right? Um, as a matter of fact, let me open up with that precept. Okay, this is Jeremiah 10, verse 1, and it reads, Hear ye the words with which the Lord Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Verse 2, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them, for the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with an axe. They deck it with silver and with gold, and they fasten it with nails and with hammers, and that it move not. Verse 5, They are upright as a palm tree, but speak not. They must need, they must need, they must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good, right? So this is referring to a lot of the customs during the Babylonian Empire that our people were practicing, and during that time of the prophet Jeremiah, and that which is then is now. So you still have our people still practicing these very similar customs even to this day, and this is what provoked the Lord, and still is provoking the Lord to anger, right? So what our people need to do is to flee from Babylon spiritually, and put down these different customs, right? So I have a book here. It's an online PDF. It's called Fossilized Customs, I think the ninth edition, right? And it kind of goes into a lot of the origins of different holidays, months of the year, days of the week, different practices of the world, and where they all go back to. So here it touches a little bit about Nimrod. So this is Easter, right? So I'm just gonna read a couple, verses, sentences from here, and then I'm going to interject and toss in some scriptures, right? So hopefully this will be edifying. So it says, Nimrod turned the people against the truth and began to worship the sky luminaries. Children were sacrificed in exchange for prosperity. He wore a headpiece on the horn front as a ruler, the symbol of power and authority. Nimrod's idolatry and ruthlessness caused his uncle Shem to destroy him, cutting his body into parts and disturbing him and distributing them, around the kingdom. It is said that Nimrod took his mother Semiramis as a wife at his death, and consoled the people of Sumer by saying she carried Nimrod's child and named him Tammuz, right? So this is something that he actually did. So it reads, Nimrod. As a matter of fact, let's let's jump down. Okay, so here it says Babylonian pillars, obelisk represented the generative powers of the male, and were simultaneously images of the phallus, Nimrod, and a sun ray. Fertility rituals such as maypole dances were still seen today. Ishtar is the same word we have today in Easter, right? So here it says in Nimrod's mother, also known around the world as Asherah, Astareth, Ishtar, Aoster, Astarte, Maya, Gaia, Diana, Ninurta, Nana, Ceres, Ostara, Ostron, Isis, Nut, the sky, Aphrodite, Venus, Indrani, Devaki, Tanit, Sabile, Artemis, Athena. So I think that's in the Greeks, Artemis and Athena specifically, right? The Canaanites call them shrines of the earth, Arshurim, right? So, what we have here is just a recycling of the same gods over and over and over and over again, just multiple over different captivities, right? In which the names just changed, right? So, so here it says Easter already was one of the biggest celebrations observed by pagans long before Christianity became along. It was a belief that when it is exposed, it was to fulfill the prophecies of Revelation 18, right? So, okay, so what we're going to do is going to ignore that portion where it says Revelation 18, right? So that is something completely different. So, because they're going off on right there. So here it says you should look up the word Easter in the dictionary and do further research in other sources. Rites to spring, near the equinox of Venus, when the pagans believed Earth Mother was impregnated by the sun, right? So this is all going into fertility worship, because the Earth is being regenerated, but all that's going on is just a changing of the seasons. That's right, right? Instead of people are worshiping all these different things that the Most High Yahweh has created, right? The sun, the moon, the stars. So they're placing, and especially our people, more specifically, because this is what's provoking the Lord to anger, is the fact that they are they're focusing a lot of energy into the creations themselves rather than acknowledging the Creator, right? And this is what makes the Most High angry, right? So I'm just going to read a little bit more, then I'm going to grab a quick precept. So just bear with me. They engage in ritual sex acts and use symbols of fertility, like eggs, rabbits, and hot cross buns. The Babylonian symbol for the female is the circle with a crux beneath. The round cakes were baked for the Queen of Heaven, with a cross symbol indicating the female. The cross also indicated the equinox when the Earth's orbit crossed the celestial equator. Hold now, and you'll see Ashereth was the same Earth Mother called Queen of Heaven, which Israel committed sexual idolatry with, right? So Israel committed an idolatry, right? So we're just gonna go into that, right? So just to correct what the author is saying. Okay, this is Jeremiah 7 verse 18, and it reads, "The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven, to pour out drink offerings unto other gods. that they may provoke me to anger, right? Verse 19, they they provoke me to anger, saith the Lord. Do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces? Therefore, thus saith the Lord thy power, behold, my anger and my fury shall be upon this place, upon man, upon beast, upon the trees of the field, upon the fruit of the ground, and it shall burn and shall not be quenched. Thus, thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the power of Israel, put your burnt offerings unto your sacrifices and eat flesh. Verse 22, for I spake not unto your fathers, not commanding them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt concerning burnt offerings and sacrifices. Verse 23, but this thing commanded I them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your power, and ye shall be my people, and walk ye in all the ways which I have commanded you, that it may be well unto you. Verse 24, but they hearkened not, nor inclined their ear, but walked in the counsels, in the imagination of their evil heart, and went backward and not forward. Right. So our people they were taking on different ways of the heathen and doing these offerings onto these different other gods, right? And like it says in Psalm 96 verse 5 that there are no other gods, right? As a matter of fact, let me just grab it real quick. So I think before I mess it up. Okay, so it says Psalms 96 verse 5, for all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord Yahweh made the heavens, right? So these were all idols that our people were practicing, right? Doing all these different cakes, setting up these different groves, statues, these, child sacrifice to different gods, and these were things that we were commanded not to do, right? So just going to what the author was actually bringing out. So these things are actually written during the time of Jeremiah. Okay, here further on it reads, to ensure a prosperous growing season, pagans rolled eggs decorated with bright colors of spring on the fields, hoping to imbue fertility. These eggs were then hidden from evil spirits in rabbit's nest, another symbol of fertility. Easter is the name of the Babylonian. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to skip over that because that is not, that is referring to that Babylon that they're referring to in Revelation 17 actually refers to America, right? So, because yeah, he does go off, this author here, right? So you just have to chew the meat and spit out the bones, like the Apostle Rhymelops normally says, right? So, in a nutshell, here, we have all these different traditions where, they go back to during the time of Nimrod, and Nimrod was in that rebellious, spirit, right? And turning our people, and then our people taking on these different customs of the heathen, right? Because Nimrod is a descendant of Ham. So we're taking on these different customs, and we're practicing these things, and then the Lord is punishing us for it, right? Even to this day, our people still practice and celebrate Easter and Christmas and so on and so forth, right? So I'm just gonna read. Let's see. Let's get Wisdom of Solomon. Because Nimrod, it was in that rebellious spirit, right, as Esau. is in that rebellious spirit, right? Not the same people, right? There's different lineages, but it's that same spirit of rebellion is what's plaguing the minds of our people to, forget the ways and forget the Most High's ways that the Lord has commanded us to walk in, right? Okay, so this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, verse 1. Surely vain are all men by nature who are ignorant of the Most High, and could not out of good things that are seen know him that is, neither by considering the works did they acknowledge the workmaster. Verse 2, but deemed either fire or wind or the swift air or the circle of the stars or the violent water or the lights of heaven to be gods which govern the world, right? So this is the very rebellious spirit our people are on, right? Even a lot of these young women I might talk to, they always would ask you things, always these silly questions like, what's your star sign, what's your moon sign, and stuff like that. Like, they always want to know your zodiac sign, right? So what they're really doing, they're our people, I'm specifically speaking of us Israelites. They're giving a strong credit to these different objects, what the Most High has created, right? The stars, the sun, the moon, the trees, things of that nature, right? Instead of actually, like it says here, acknowledging the workmaster, which is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, right? Verse 3, let's see, which with whose beauty if they being delighted took them to be gods, let them know how much better the Lord of them is, for the first author of beauty hath created them. Verse 4, but if they were astonished at their power and virtue, let them understand by them how much mightier he is that made them, right? So the Lord is the most mighty person. He, his name means he is, right? He exists, right? So he's created everything, right? So he deserves all the praises, honor, and glory, right? So let's jump down to verse 10, and what I want to do, I want to wrap it up real quickly. And here it says, but miserable are they, and in dead things is their hope, who call them gods, which are the works of man's hands, gold and silver, to show art in, and resemblance of beasts, or a stone good for nothing, the work of an ancient hand. Verse 11, now a carpenter that felleth timber, after he has sawn down the tree meet for the purpose, taken off all the bark skillfully round about, and hath wrought it handsomely, and made a vessel thereof fit for the service of man's life. And after spending the refuse of his word to dress his meat, hath filled himself, and after taking the very refuse among those which served to no use, being crooked pieces of wood, full of knots, hath carved it diligently, when he had nothing else to do, and formed it by the skill of his understanding, and fashioned it to the image of a man. Right, so this, right here is referring to, a person who has taken the time to skillfully actually make something, with his own hands. But our people are so caught up and taken by the actual creation, where they actually forget to acknowledge the creator himself, right? But I could continue on, but I don't want to make this lesson too long. But here, this is a very good chapter that goes really into the people's like over veneration of like these different physical things that the Lord Yahweh has created, and they forget to acknowledge the workmaster, right? Forget to acknowledge Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, right? So, anyways, hopefully this video was edifying. I'd just like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bashim Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth. Until next time, I say Shalom.